size of this one. All right, well, we're going to attempt to upcycle this beautiful, what is it? Port Orford?
Cedar, it's white cedar.
Port Orford white cedar. They were these great big 6x8 beams that were, what were these part of?
These were signposts alongside the road.
Big.
But they're really old. They've been around so long that they don't even make these anymore. Actually, I bought these from a guy that salvaged them. My cousin who had salvaged them off of, they were replacing the road signs.
So that's what we're looking at for the what they look like inside all these beautiful woods. So we're gonna chop them up and plane them and see what we come up with, and see if we can come up with enough material for some really interesting and very beautiful countertops. I wish we had smell-o-vision.
Smells pretty good, don't it?
That's cedar, and it's different from normal cedar too. It's that yellow cedar or white cedar, so it smells a little different, but just phenomenal.
Slip that board off. Let's see what the next one looks like.
Yeah.
Wow. That'll do.
That's gonna be beautiful, yeah.
Yeehaw.
So, don't ever give up on nice old beautiful old wood. You know, it can look like complete trash on the exterior, and
hate to tell you, brother, but that's that wood's probably been on the ground as long as you've been on the ground here. So it's pretty tough wood.
well aged.
It's well aged. Woohoo!
Okay, so this is what we ended up with after 3 blades on the bandsaw, because there were some hidden bolts inside there where we weren't expecting them, but pretty amazing stuff. It's gonna be really beautiful. It's all yellow cedar. Still looks a little rough now, but it's gonna, this kind of stuff here is gonna look really beautiful when we get it all polished up and stained. Gonna be interesting. Well, we're working on upcycling some old cedar materials in several different versions. We've taken the time to cut down this beautiful Port Orford cedar, and this is what we're coming up with. It's absolutely beautiful. It almost looks just like pine, but it's actually this really cool yellow white cedar that is specific to this region here in Oregon, and got some really cool details that I'm gonna incorporate into the countertop. And then we have a bunch of just the kind of the classic tongue and grooved cedar that I'm picking through now, kind of pulling aside the really bad ones, pulling out the decent ones, and doing a quick sand on them to see what is halfway functional and good for doors and drawer fronts. And you know, I mean, look at go from this to that in just a few seconds with a good 80 grit sander here. So gonna give everything a quick overview and then run through it all, see what I have for my door and drawer fronts, and also for like face frame material as well, for stuff that's not good enough for doors. and basically try to utilize as much of this old cedar as we can. Okay, here's our beautiful pile of wood. This is again with some rough old cedar that was here on the property that he had that planed all that down. And then we've got that's regular standard cedar, western red cedar. And then we've got this gorgeous white cedar, Port Orford white cedar that we've prepped for the kitchen counters. And got that all planed down. It's going to be a little over about 1 3/8 inches thick is what it all came out to for all the different parts and pieces I have. Getting the countertops all glued up. The last pieces are glued together here. Again, this is this beautiful Port Orford cedar that we milled out of great big old posts, 6 by 8 inch posts that were all gray and rough looking, and basically got those all glued together. I had to maximize material. I had to do kind of a herringbone thing in the corners here, interlocking the pieces to maximize all of the different parts and pieces that we had. And as we go, I'll show later, once I unglue things, you'll see there's a few of these are actually book matched across from each other, so that should be kind of cool. Instead of running pieces all the way across where the sink's going to go, I just basically cut chunks off short, and then I'll just have a little bit of removal of the material just to make the sink fit perfectly in there. And that way we're, again, maximizing material, not wasting anything. And so get these guys unglued tomorrow and do a whole bunch of sanding, and then we'll fit this big guy in there and get all the final cuts in place. Well, we had some fun wrestling it in, but we got it. With between having to get between this beast and our back walls, and then having other stuff overhead, it was a bit of a challenge getting her in there.
Snug fit.
Tightly snug. So now we get to finish the sanding and get her done. There it is, that beautiful Port Orford cedar. All right, sanded down to 220, and then hand sanded a bit more with 400 grit to get this beautiful cedar, white cedar, all sanded out and ready for some color. Ooh. Love the variations in it. Did a little wipe down with the tack cloth, and we are ready for some oil. Alright, so here's our basic nice Minwax penetrating stain oil base, all natural, just basically oil. Get her dipped in there. I like to use a rag instead of a brush, just because I can control it better. Nice. We're oiled and ready for poly. Just love the details in this.
If this thing got, scratched up or a little bit damaged over time, could I just resand it and do it again?
Oh yeah. Yep. Second coat of polyurethane is on our beautiful Port Orford cedar countertops. Gotta love them. Found out they use this material for guitars and all kinds of interesting stuff. Beautiful details.